Hello, and welcome to Some Kind of Podcast. This is a podcast where we entertain you by discussing what entertains us. I'm Cody, this week's host, and I'm joined as always by Tim
Hello.
and Christian.
Hello.
So, we're going to kick things off with a little bit of what you've been playing and watching, and I'll let Tim take it.
Oh, starting off hot with me. All right.
After the rowdy pre-show, we'll call it. Let's see what you got, bud.
The unaired dark episode. What have I been playing and watching? Well, besides what we're going to talk about today, which I won't get into because that's the whole topic of the podcast. I recently restarted watching the MCU movies.
I've actually been meaning to do that.
Yeah, I've been watching them in, I guess, chronological order, but not by release date, by like actual events happening. I looked it up. Yeah. So I started with Captain America, the first Avenger, because it takes place in the 1940s.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all I've really gotten so far. But the next one I have to watch is Captain Marvel, because it takes place in the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm thinking about rewatching them through because I need something to do with my Disney Plus that isn't just watching one episode of a show that comes out once a week. And since they're going up in price, I'm like, well, time to start getting my money off of Disney Plus while I have it. So I started doing that. Like I said, I'm only one movie in. The next, I watched First Avenger over again, and then I'll watch Captain Marvel, and then progress my way through. I've also been watching Critical Role. I'm on episode 12. It's really good. They finished their first real kind of major boss fight, sort of. I think they did. It's hard to tell because the way Matt Mercer ended the episode, it led you on to believe that they're not quite out of the neck of the woods yet. But it was really interesting. And I listened to it in podcast form because I was driving to and from a wedding, and it was very convenient because my distance, my driving was essentially one episode. So it worked out nicely. So I guess technically I was listening to that, but I'm listening to something that I typically watch, so I'm including it under that's what I watch.
Yeah, it's technically, I mean, like it's in podcast form, but it's still a video. Like, I mean, it wasn't made as a podcast.
No, I actually found out like they made them all into podcasts like years later.
Yeah, they started, I think, like at least 6 months into it.
Yeah. As far as what I've been playing, really nothing really, because I had that wedding this week, so I haven't really got a chance to play much of anything since the last podcast because it's just been crazy hectic at work, and then I went and had a wedding I had to go to. So yeah, I've just been watching stuff. So that's it for me. What about you, Christian? What you been up to?
Cool. Yeah. As I've been playing bits and pieces of Monster Hunter Rise, we'll talk more about that later on the Switch. And then I played a little bit of Subnautica. That was one of the free games that came out this past month, I think. It was included with PlayStation Plus for the PS4. Of course, still playable on the PS5. I played it for like an hour, and then I was like, huh. It kind of reminds me. Have you guys played it at all?
No.
It kind of reminds
me. The one where you're underwater. I think it's called.
It's
never mind.
Literally called Underwater in it just phrased differently.
I'm just
anyway,
in a weird mood. Go ahead.
So, for those of you who have played No Man's Sky, it's essentially instead of being in outer space, you're underwater. So, answer to question, Tim, is yes, it is underwater.
Not to cut you off too bad here. There's another game coming out tomorrow, I think, called like Breath Edge. And it's essentially Subnautica in space. But it's not No Man's Sky because you can build a base in space, sort of like you can in Subnautica.
Huh. Yeah, so, I've never even heard about that. But is it by the same developer?
I don't know. I tried to find it on the store earlier and I couldn't find it, but PlayStation shared a post about it that it comes out tomorrow. So,
okay, yeah, I'll be on the lookout for it. It's interesting. It's just I think I was one of the people that even after No Man's Sky did its big revamp, I was never like completely infatuated with it. So like I appreciate it for what it was. And then I would kind of came to the realization that I was like, it's just not for me.
Mm-hmm.
Probably not gonna play any more of it. So then I was like, well, let's look at the trophy list. Then I googled it on my phone, and there was this like really weird guide that basically got you the platinum in 30 minutes. And I was like, yeah, sure, let's do that. And I know that's gonna get me a lot of hate probably, but because I think there's like
Platinum's a platinum.
yeah, well, I mean that's
I
my
am
kind of outlook on it.
all on the board of the train. I don't know if we talked about this when we're talking about Platinum Trophy episode, but like I'm all for like I'll give it the old college try. And if I can't figure it out in like 20, 30 minutes, I'm looking up how to do it.
Yeah. Well, the
I ain't
so
got time like some of these youngins to just sit there and try to figure it out.
I mean, I think if you play the game normally, I think minimum, if you like know, if you're an expert with the game and you know exactly what to do, it's going to take you at least 20 to 30 hours. And so the the trophy guide utilizes like the developer mode, so you can like teleport all over the game and like do stuff that you're not supposed to be doing. So that's the reason why I was like, yeah,
Well,
anybody
Did you
who
get the
really
Platinum
loves
Trophy?
Subnautica is probably really hating my guts right now.
Did you get the Platinum Trophy?
I did, yeah.
That's all that matters.
Yeah. So, but I played a little bit more of Immortals Phoenix Rising, kind of in a similar boat. I appreciate it. I think the game's great, but coming, like we've said before, coming off of spending so many hours in Valhalla, just don't think it's my thing right now.
Remind
And
me, you
then,
thought that Odyssey was better than Immortals, right? Assassin's Creed Odyssey, you thought
oh, so you're talking about like comparing mythologies,
yeah. No, well, they're both the same game.
right? Yeah. So wait, what?
Essentially, they're both made by the same company, just one's more cartoonish than the other.
Oh, yeah. Both made by the same, region of Ubisoft or whatever. Yeah. So I think I mean, I've always been an Assassin's Creed fan, so I think I'm just kind of biased in that regard anyway. But and like I said, I think in the last week's episode, if Immortals came out half a year to even to a year removed from when the last Assassin's Creed came out, like it's still that open world exploration, go kill this monster, go like kill that thing, whatever kind of mentality. And I think I would be all for it. I just think it's coming too close from being to have just Platinum Valhalla to be like fully diving into it.
I think it
Man,
should
It's a
it
good
should have
thing.
come out in like September.
Yeah, so it's a good thing I have it digitally. I think I'll probably take a break from it for now. I'm probably like, 10 hours into the game at this point. I think I'll definitely come back to it, but I think it's just not something I'm into like right in the moment.
sure.
Yeah, I feel you on that one.
I got Outriders finally after talking about like going back and forth about whether or not I should or should not get it, which will be good. It'll be good to talk about here on the show. Apparently, they had a cluster mess of a launch weekend this past weekend. Apparently, the servers were kind of up and down and all around. And something I didn't realize, I guess, that it was included on the Xbox Game Pass. So, like for Xbox people, if you're subscribing to that service, you just got the game when it came out.
Oh, really? Oh,
And
well,
so the only
I should
people that
probably look into
actually,
that because I have that.
oh yeah, there you go. So the only people that actually had to like pay for it were if you were either on PlayStation 4 or 5 or on PC.
Weird.
But yeah, and then so I've been rewatching The Office, just kind of in downtime, either in the background while I'm working on schoolwork or just before work bed at night, just to kind of wind down. And then yeah, I got Outriders coming up. Probably started that tomorrow at some point this week. And then there's a cool game called Cozy Grove. It's an indie game coming out on the PlayStation 4 that comes out on the 8th, I believe. I think it's like this Wednesday or Thursday that I'll definitely be picking up, and so I'll be able to talk about that next podcast. But yeah,
I'm.
what about you, Ben?
I think I'm. I think I'm gonna pick up Cozy Grove. I'm still like on the fence. Like I kind of want to get it for the PS5, but the other part of me is like I'm getting my shot, my first vaccine shot that same day, and apparently this drive-through place is like it's gonna be like an hour process. So I kind of want to get it on my Switch so I can bring it with me and play it.
Hour, bro. I just
Yeah,
went
I
up
mean-
there and they just went pow, and then I went home.
No, I think because it's a drive-through, and when I was picking my appointment, this is so far off topic. Holy crap.
We're talking about the COVID-19 vaccine now, by the way, in case you haven't caught on.
No. I'm talking about measles. No, I'm just kidding.
I think I'm on happy endings.
God. It's a drive-through clinic, and when I was looking at the appointments, there was like 300 open appointments. So I'm guessing it's just gonna be really busy.
Yeah, man, it's a drive-through clinic nowadays. It's how they do it.
My mom and Dad both didn't have drive-through clinics when they went and got theirs.
I went to Walgreens.
My mom had to go to like Johnson C. Smith or something like that and go to the gym.
Everyone, see, maybe that's just a. Never mind. You know what? We're getting way off topic.
Yeah, super off topic. Anyway, yeah, I don't know. I want to get Cozy Grove. I just don't know what I'm going to get it on.
It's got no multiplayer aspect to it, so I mean, just get it on
I don't
one of
know
the
what this
platforms.
game is. It sounds like it's a stoner game. I don't know. I just imagine there's a community named
It's
Yeah,
met
so we
like
never
his
really,
grove.
I guess, talked much about what the game actually is. It's essentially a slight variant of Animal Crossing.
yeah, it's like if the people that made Don't Starve, like that kind of hand-drawn looking aesthetic, did Animal Crossing.
Pass. I mean, I liked Animal Crossing for what it was doing at the time, but pass.
Anyway, so back on topic, I recently picked up Doom Eternal because it was on sale.
Ooh,
And I've been enjoying that for the most part.
some demons.
I was gonna say, when we talked last, you were getting extremely frustrated.
Yeah,
with
so it has a difficulty ramp where like it's super easy for like 2 full missions, and then on the third mission it just like takes off, and it gives you just small rooms with like massive amounts of enemies, and it's not conducive to one's sanity. Um, but I'm past all that stuff for the most part, I think. But it's good. I'm enjoying it. If you don't like first person shooters, I don't recommend it because there's no aim down sight or aim assist
it's
or
all
any,
free game.
it's all just free aim.
Ooh,
Um,
hard pass.
and it's very very fast paced.
I mean, it looks like it's fun, but I don't know.
It is. It has an amazing soundtrack. If you're a metalhead, um,
In my youth.
pretty great. I've also been replaying Pokemon Soul Silver. After our Pokemon
Which is
episode,
the best.
it is my favorite Pokemon game. So I
finally tracked down a cartridge, did you?
no,
Yes.
no. I'm not gonna tell you how I'm doing it, but I'm playing it anyway.
Inconclusive.
Yeah. And since it's interesting that you've been rewatching the Marvel universe, I've been rewatching the Fast and Furious universe.
Yeah, that's actually another reason why I started doing it, because you're like, I'm rewatching all these Fast and Furious movies, and I was like, you know what? Let me give the MCU another look.
And yeah, I'm done with those.
Well, yeah, there's only 8 movies. I have to watch 22.
Well,
of them.
9. I watched. I included Hobbs and Shaw.
Oh, was that part of the pack? No, it wasn't.
No. The pack I got is just the 8 movies. But I also have Hobbs and Shaw.
You know what DK stands for?
Donkey Kong. Those movies are so bad. They're so good. I love them so much.
Show, cuz.
The best line of any movie ever is just ejectocito, cuz. Yeah. So that's what I've been up to. I do kind of want to go back and rewatch the MCU. I might do that soon.
Well, you got time now to finish Fast movies.
I want to do that and Star Wars at some point.
Let's talk about Star Wars, because I don't think my roommate's seen the original ones.
The problem with Star Wars is when I go back through and watch them, I include the Clone Wars, the animated show.
Oh, I don't know, like the series.
Yeah, the series, because it is canon.
A lot to watch
To the
though.
story, yeah, which is
I
why
still
I've
have yet to
been
make it
putting
through
it
all
off.
that.
It's
Yeah.
really good. You just kind of have, you have to get through it.
I started watching that. What's that other one that they had on the Disney Plus? Not Resistance? Was it Resistance?
There's Resistance and Rebels. I never
Rebels,
watched. I
that's
never
the one
watched
I was
Rebels. I skimmed through Rebels.
I started watching Rebels, and I was like, this show is
It's for a younger crowd.
decent.
Since we're on this topic now, there is that announcement for on Disney Plus. I think it's sometime
The
this
Bad
summer.
Batch.
I think
Sorry.
you stole his thunder
Take
there.
it away, Cody.
Take it away, Ernie.
I think you stole his thunder there.
It's gonna be a bumpy ride.
Speaking of like
Sorry,
Crazy.
Christian.
quotes,
It's
and
Star Wars, and I'm excited when it comes to Star Wars. I can't help myself.
It's okay.
It's not, and I'm sorry. I just know that it's not intentional. It's more of a reflex.
Anyway, the Bad Batch is apparently coming out on Disney Plus.
Yeah, so I actually didn't look too much into it, and since I was gonna pass it over to you anyway, is it animated or is it
It's a spin-off of the Clone Wars.
okay? So it's animated.
Yeah.
Okay.
They introduced the Bad Batch in the final season of the Clone Wars that they just
Okay.
recently released. And yeah, it's just going to be a spin-off series with them. Anyway, since I just stole your thunder,
Are you going to throw it over to Christian for the Metacritic?
I'm going to throw it over to Christian for the Metacritic. I'm so sorry, Christian. So
Quite okay. Don't worry
no,
about
I'm
it.
going to shut up. I'm just going to mute myself. This is all you.
Oh my gosh. Anyway, guys, we're gonna talk about Metacritic update. Last week's episode, we talked a bit about Monster Hunter Rise, which we'll go more to here in a second, as well as Story of Seasons, Pioneers of Olive Town, which Cody kind of gave an impromptu short review last week. Since we weren't quite at the week mark, we weren't able to officially unveil the happenings and results from our Metacritic predictions that happened back in earlier on this year. But now we can. So for those of you that don't remember, because I didn't, the point system broke down within 10. If you're within 10 of the score, you get a point. If you're within 5 of the score, you get 2 points. If you're within 3 of the score, you get 3 points. And if you're right on the nose, you get 4.
It's within
So-
2, isn't it?
No. Within 3.
What?
Is it within 3?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So I'm going to start off with Story of Seasons since that came out first. We're since we're now a week removed from that, we can go ahead and officially call it. As of today, the Metacritic score is sitting at 71 for Story of Seasons, Pioneers of Olive Town. Our original predictions back earlier on this year was Cody at 79, me at 75, and Tim at 70. So Tim, you actually won this one, giving you 3
that game.
points. You were the closest to the results there. And then I got 2 points for being at 75, and Cody got a point for being at 79.
Yeah, it sounds about right.
And then
I was really
Monster Hunter.
excited that I was really close on that. So excuse me.
Yeah. Monster Hunter Rise is the Metacritic score as of today is at 88. And so our guesses back in the day was Cody at 92, me at 86, and Tim at 82. And so for that one, Tim, you got a point. Cody, you got 2 points, and I got 3 points. And
So where are we at currently?
Yep. So before this episode, we really were only kind of going off of Persona Strikers before now. So that had me at 4, Tim at 3, and Cody at 3. And so then after all this, I am in the lead at 9. And then Tim, you're at 7, and Cody, you're at 6.
Okay.
So
All
the
right.
next thing coming out, well, I mean, it's already out, Godzilla versus Kong, but it's not a week removed from the launch date, which was this past Wednesday. We're recording on Monday. So next podcast, we'll be able to officially make the calling on that. But right now, it's sitting at 59, so it's not looking great as far as the critics go on this one.
I mean, we knew that when we were doing the predictions that
Yeah, I think we're all pretty close on this one, but I think Christian's gonna squeak through on the exact thing.
well, if you remember during the Metacritic podcast, he said that he was really good at predicting what Metacritic thought because he follows it closer than we do. So it's not surprising that Christian's in the lead right now. But hey, we're only like 3 of the 20 things that we voted on. So there's another 17 things.
That's true. That's true.
I was gonna say, and you're also giving me like a lot of credit, but I mean, like I'm only 2 points ahead. Like it's not a lot.
You're 3 points ahead of me, so it's pretty much insurmountable at this point. All right,
You
cool.
give it up, man. Throw in the white flag.
So, going from there, let's get into the first of our 2 main topics. The semi-permanent segment that we've dubbed What the Falcon, where we will discuss the latest episode of Falcon and the Winter Soldier. As always, full spoilers ahead. If you don't want to hear it, if you haven't watched it, I don't know what to tell you. Get Disney Plus and watch it. Like, I just figure it out. Figure it out, guy. But we're gonna talk spoilers, so that's what it is, champ. Chief Sport. Zippy.
I,
I don't even know what.
Tiger,
I'm just gonna. All right.
Ombre.
What did you guys think? I was a big fan personally of this episode. I've liked all of them so far, but I was definitely a big fan of this one.
Um. Okay, so that mask that Baron Zemo picked up, was he supposed to be like? Is that like a nod to something? Because they put like a big emphasis on when he picked it up and when he used it.
I think it's a
In
comic
one,
book nod, but
but I don't know. I don't know if that was.
I don't know Marvel
Like,
Comics enough.
I feel like this is supposed to be like something cool that I'm missing right here. Do you know anything about that, Christian?
Yeah, so I was actually like in the process of looking it up right as you said something.
Oh, okay.
So
Well, I can talk
it's
about other things while you look it up.
just in the comics, apparently, I guess he dons that mask look quite a bit. So it's just I think like it's just
Okay, just
a
a
nod
nod
to
to
the
his
comics.
original character.
Because
Yeah.
I was looking it up and I was because I was curious if like he was donning the like the mantle of some like
Yeah, that's when I was like, is
distinguished character.
he like? I mean, I don't know who. I thought they just made this dude up when he was in Winter Soldier. So I didn't realize that he was like an actual like because Baron
Well,
Zemo seems like a made up name.
In in Civil War, um, and, or Winter Soldier in Civil War, I guess. Um, they just made him out to be just some dude
Yeah, that's what
that
I'm saying. Like,
lost his family,
yeah.
Yeah,
and
they
that
didn't even talk about the fact that he's like a
yeah,
baron. And,
they didn't
like,
mention
hecka
once
rich.
that he was Baron Zemo.
Well, I think they like paid it off like in the show when they went I'm like, wait, you're rich?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
like, I feel like that was like a moment where they were like, "Oh, we never told anybody that he
Established
was
who this guy really was.
rich. Let's just go."
Wasn't he like the main baddie in Civil War?
Yeah, he was the one. Well, in Winter Soldier,
Controlling Winter Soldier.
yeah, and sort of in Civil War,
Yeah.
because he was controlling Bucky,
Mm-hmm.
um, but I don't know. He's a villain, I guess, but he's also
He's the anti-hero
yeah, he's an anti-hero because like
or an
his
anti-villain.
his motives aren't terrible.
Yeah, I was gonna say the whole thing about him, the beef that he had with the Avengers was basically just because they dropped a city on his family and wanted them to destroy each
yeah.
other.
Yeah,
So I mean, like I kind of got that, and like he wasn't just well, okay. So I mean, he did do the bombing at the UN building or whatever, which
He
actually
killed not
he killed
T'Challa,
King T'Chaka.
yeah.
T'Chaka. Yeah.
Yeah,
So that was like the one, like I guess. Well, and then he also killed that guy in the hotel room.
yeah. I mean, he
He
killed a few people. He drowned a dude in a sink.
I'm pretty
I
sure
mean,
like,
that guy
the
was like
big,
Hydra.
He was
so
Hydra.
he
Yeah,
deserved it.
yeah. I mean,
big death he did was King T'Chaka because that's how T'Challa became the Black Panther.
and again, like it wasn't. I'm not saying he was right for doing it, but like I get the motive behind it of like that represents the Avengers and the Sokovia Accords, and the Avengers are getting away with it, and nobody is taking into account that they dropped a city on his family. I
Oh.
I get the outrage. Maybe not blow up a bunch of people, but
Yeah.
but like his whole motive of just like trying to eradicate the super soldier serum, I get.
Yeah.
So
No,
I
totally.
don't know that I'd call him a villain, but he's not a good guy either.
Anti-villain, like he's the villain that you like, I guess. Maybe I don't know. I still see him as like this dude. I don't know. Like
Yeah.
he has more credibility behind him now because of what they actually tell about him in this episode. But like even when they like when last episode they're like we're gonna go see him. I was kind of like okay,
Yeah, I didn't quite.
it's nothing major to me.
Yeah, but I will give him that with this episode, they definitely like. I don't know. He feels more like an actual character now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like obviously he's the anti-hero villain, but like he also feels like part of that group now
So I
in
mean,
a way.
maybe I feel like the
Like-
way they ended this episode that he could totally disappear at any
Oh yeah,
moment.
yeah, yeah. I feel like
Gone.
at any point he's gone.
Well, I thought okay, so here we go. he breaks out. They break him out of jail essentially. Like Bucky sort of kind of
He
inadvertently
didn't
breaks him
need
out
to
of jail.
show up.
Yeah, and they kind of like get to this point where like he can run away, and then he doesn't.
Yeah.
He actually shows up and saves Bucky and Sam.
And
So
and I think that that's because he had like at least two opportunities to book it.
and like they totally like give you the red herring of it because when he grabs that gun, you think like, oh, he's gonna actually finally betray Bucky and Sam, and then he
Yeah.
doesn't. He ends up saving them.
Um yeah, like he had the opportunity to run when he broke out of prison and didn't. And then he had the opportunity to leave during the big shootout and didn't, and instead took out the guys and saved them.
Okay, so speaking of the big shootout and moving further on past Baron Zemo here, um, I need somebody to explain to me why I should care about Sharon Carter. Like, I get that she's obviously the granddaughter of Peggy
Niece.
Carter.
Niece.
Okay. Because that was what I was confused. I was like, so is this supposed to be Steve Rogers' kid? Like, I didn't
No.
understand what was going on because I've
No.
never seen Agent
He
Carter,
made
so I
out
don't.
with his niece-in-law, not his daughter.
Okay. Well, I didn't. I've never watched Agent Carter or really remember. That was another reason why I was like, maybe I should start rewatching the MCU because there's a lot in here that I don't remember. Which
She's not in Agent Carter. The only people from Agent Carter that are relevant to the MCU movies is like young Tony Stark, Jarvis, the butler, who's in. You actually see him, and it's the same actor in
oh, is it
Endgame.
Paul Bettany?
No, I don't know.
Oh.
I don't know names.
Well, Jarvis is voiced by Paul Bettany.
Okay,
so
no. It's not Paul Bettany. Sorry.
Okay.
The in Endgame when they go back to the base to get the Pym particles and the Tesseract,
Mhm.
when his dad gets in the car, the guy that's with him is Jarvis, like
Okay.
the person.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a different actor there.
And that is also the actor that plays Jarvis in the Carter show.
Okay.
But that they're really the only three people that are relevant out of that show.
Because like I didn't. Have we seen Sharon Carter before? I don't even.
Yeah,
In
she
Civil War.
in Civil War she stole Cap's shield and Falcon's wings from the
No.
government.
This is like another thing why I'm rewatching the MCU because like there's stuff like minor things like this where I'm like, when did we see her last?
Yeah, she was like undercover.
Why is she a badass?
She was like Cap's neighbor but undercover.
Yeah.
And then
was like keeping
when
tabs on him.
yeah, keeping tabs, and then like she showed herself when Fury got shot.
Mm.
And then she popped up really just as like a plot device to give Cap his shield and Sam the wings. And I feel like they brought her back to this show to give her more of a
Do we
arc.
know why that she's not allowed in the U.S.?
I think it's because she stole the shield and everything. Like she's still technically a fugitive like Cap was. But like
Okay. Who's that chick that she's talking to and she's like,
no idea. That's just part of
Okay.
her new criminal organization.
okay.
So the answer to your original question, though, there really isn't a huge reason to be like infatuated that Sharon Carter's now on screen. Like she's not like a
Okay.
very vital, important character. It's just
Well, that's why I was like, okay, like I know of Sharon Carter, like I've heard the name before, and obviously she's some relative to Peggy Carter. So like, I get the tie-ins and whatnot, but I was kind of like, why is she a badass? Why is she a fugitive? Who's this chick that she's talking to? Like, I feel like I missed a whole bunch, and I wasn't sure because you know how Marvel is, like they can kind of pull things out of nowhere that like is like, hey, you remember in Civil War at the 37-minute mark and Tony Stark said hello to this guy? Well, that's him right there.
Yeah.
And I was just like, have we seen Sharon Carter before? I don't remember the why I'm supposed to care about Sharon Carter.
I think that's the point. I think that they're trying to make you care about Sharon Carter now.
Okay. I mean, it's fine.
Like she
Is she
so
from the new Black Widow?
I doubt it. I mean she could.
Well, not like the new, like she's not gonna take the moniker of Black Widow.
No. In the movie, I know what you're saying.
Person,
Yeah. There's a couple characters in the MCU that they've done that with, and I feel like they're either gonna try and do something with, or you know, they have room to do it. Like the kid from Iron Man 3 that he like shacks up with.
That sounded weird.
Not
I
like
mean,
that.
it sounded weird, but
They
it
are in a shack together doing things that are acceptable.
they were literally in a shack together. Anyway, um the little
Moving
kid,
shack-
the little
That's
kid
not
that
what I mean.
he like the little genius kid that he finds.
Yeah, but you probably shouldn't say
Um
it.
he was at Tony's funeral and I
Yeah,
didn't catch it.
yeah.
I didn't
Yeah,
catch it when I watched
older,
it.
he's tough to decide by himself.
Yeah. So I don't know if they're going to like have him take up the Iron Man mantle at some point.
They shack up with his daughter.
I mean, I guess they're
If
closer
they're
in
gonna be in a
age.
shack. They're gonna be in a shack like those two.
Oh,
I'm using it your own way.
Look, man, I misspoke.
Anyway,
should've
I'm just
said
gonna
it the way you
break
I
up this
misspoke.
conversation before
Anywho-
it gets too weird.
Anywho,
He might become Ironheart because I know that is part of the MC or the comics as well.
yeah, I don't know what they're doing with Ironheart. Also, super off topic. That cabin from Endgame, you can apparently rent it on Airbnb.
Okay.
Reel
Like-
this back in real quick. So,
Just saying, if you guys want to like take a vacay and go rent Iron Man's, you know,
Shack up together.
lake cabin, shack up together.
yeah. But Tim, a few minutes ago when you said, you know, like who's this person that Sharon's just talking to before she gets back into her car,
Yeah.
you brought up a good point there because I was talking about with Cody this the other day. I do not trust Sharon Carter.
Oh yeah, I
I
don't
think
trust her
that
at all.
she's got
seems
some
sketchy.
sort of weird hidden agenda and she's working for some sort of organization that she did not disclose to Bucky and Sam.
She's a little bit of a sketchy Jeffrey for sure.
I don't think she's Hydra, but
No.
I don't think she's a good guy either. Like, I don't think that she would like. I don't think that she would directly like harm any of them, but I think that she could very well work for an organization that would, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't think she would pull the trigger.
Smashers, calling it right now.
She could,
Call it right now.
but I don't think she would pull the trigger on any of them. I think it's just more of,
She could be a double agent.
yeah, but we'll see. Who knows? And so I guess last thing I'll touch on, just because it was cool as hell, is the city of Madripoor.
Yeah. No. Is this a city that I'm supposed to know?
It's from the comics.
So yeah, so I'm right there with you, Tim. I was like, this kind of sounds familiar, but I didn't get the like tie-in, and I was so mad at myself for it because after the show, I watched the episode, I looked it up, and it's like the main stomping grounds of Wolverine.
Of what?
Wolverine, yeah.
Oh, okay. So yeah, kind of going on that. Like, I like this episode, but I feel like there are a lot of things in here like that made me go like, I feel like I should know what this is, but I don't.
I feel like with these shows, they're going real hard into like comic book references.
And that's fine, but for somebody like me that doesn't know any comic references, I'm just kind of like, why do I care about this?
Yeah, I feel like they didn't do that with the movies too hard. Like they put little things here and there, like
Oh, I know. I remember sitting next to Matt during most of these movies as he's freaking out, and I'm just kind of like, well, that's kind of cool.
yeah, it was like what was it?
So like, there's like Beta Ray Bill reference.
Yeah, I was gonna say Beta Ray Bill, the big head in Thor Ragnarok.
Yeah.
So they've put like subtle things here and there. I mean, hell, they even put Howard the Duck in one of them.
I mean, you know that like after every Marvel movie, I have to turn like Matt or Cooper and be like, all right, explain to me why that was cool.
That was awesome. Tell me why.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess Madripoor is
I remember
also.
Matt almost peeing himself for the first time Thanos came on the screen.
Yeah. Christian, you might know, is Madripoor also the city that I can't remember the name of the dang movie. The Marvel, it's a new Marvel. Is it Shang-Chi? Is that right?
I don't think so. The Madripoor, if correct me if I'm wrong, they alluded to it on the show. They said it's like off the coast of. Now I'm gonna have to Google it. I don't think it's the same location as Shang-Chi though.
Okay, I wasn't sure if it was like the same place as Shang-Chi and like where the Mandarin was like located and all that stuff.
Well, if you're going MCU Mandarin, that was in like Florida.
Well,
If you're going
yeah,
MC Mandarin, you can just forget about it because that was stupid.
it
Yeah.
was pretty dumb. All right, let's.
Oh, so it might be to
I'm
answer your
rewatching the
question real quick.
MCU,
Is
and I
it?
am not excited to get to Iron Man 3. I just want to point that out.
This might be a nod. Cody might have been onto something here. There might have been a nod to what they're about to do with Shang-Chi because Madripoor is in Southeast Asia, and Shang-Chi is totally in Asia. So
Yeah, I have a feeling that this won't be the last time we see Madripoor, whether it's in this show or not. Like,
Very beautiful city, though.
it was
yeah,
definitely
it's
like
really cool.
cyberpunk vibes coming from it.
hmm
Um,
Also, I just want to point out that like when you first see the city, like they're walking down this bridge, and then they just get in a car, and then they drive down the bridge in the car that they were just walking down on the bridge with. It's like, where's traffic? Do they
Yeah.
own this bridge?
no traffic.
Yeah, there's no traffic whatsoever. They're just walking around on this big, beautiful, empty bridge. They're walking down the middle of the road. A car pulls up, skirts in front of them, and then they just get in it. And I was just like, other than the fact that that was kind of cool, I see no purpose of what that was for.
I think it was trying to allude to the fact that traffic can't just come and go as it pleases. Like it's somewhat
Maybe.
kind of monitored, and you can't just get on the island. Like it depends on who you are and if you have connections.
It seems
Maybe,
like
okay.
unless I misunderstood, that there's like a civilized portion and a very uncivilized portion of that city.
Yeah, there's like a corpo side and then like the underworld on the other end,
Right.
which I think is where the show actually took place.
Because like as soon as like Sharon or her teammate sniped that one chick, it like turned into John Wick and everybody's phone went off with the bounty.
Very
Mhm.
quickly. I was like, how did they know?
And then as soon as they left, everyone just gave up.
Yeah.
They were like, "Wow, they're gone.
No, for
Oh
real, like,
well."
first of all, who sent out these text messages? How do they all know that these are the people that they're looking for? I'm so confused. It was just like everybody was just like, and it was only like $1,000 or whatever. It wasn't even anything major.
Dude, uh, not to go down another rabbit hole, but I've been so like fixated on stupid plot holes like that lately. Like, to point one out real quick
Because
before
you
we
watched
move
Fast
on,
9 or the
because
Fast movies.
so I was watching Fast and Furious, and all right, so in Fast 4, Letty quote unquote dies, right?
Sort of.
In Fast 6, Dom is with the Spanish chick from 5.
Sure. I don't remember these
Okay.
movies. Yeah.
And then at like the beginning of the movie, like they're in bed, and then The Rock shows up, and he's like, "Letty's alive." And then he's just like, "All right, cool, I'm done with you now. See ya. I gotta go find my not dead wife." And then 2 whole movies later, Brian has had a kid, and Mia is pregnant again. And all of a sudden, right, this chick's pregnant or has Dom's kid. 2 movies later,
Who?
the Spanish chick.
Oh.
After
Dom's
2 movies, she has a baby with Dom, and that's the whole plot of 8
Dude,
is that
like,
Charlize Theron's character kidnaps her and their baby.
like I don't remember any of the plot for any of these Fast movies. Other than the first one, I don't know a single thing that happens other than all the cool car action scenes. Like when you're talking like Fast and Furious, I remember things like how those two cars had that like safe that they were plowing through buildings, or in that one movie they in like Dubai they went from like one tall building to another tall building.
Yeah.
Like I remember those parts. I remember the Rock broke his cast. Like I remember that. But if you asked me what the plot points were, like I didn't even know Dom had a kid.
Yeah, that was literally the whole point of 8 was that she was making him go against the team because she had his kid hostage. Anyway,
I'm gonna
he has a baby in Fast and Furious 8. 2 movies later from the last time that he was with this chick.
we don't know what.
And I mean, it's a baby.
We don't know what the time frame for this is.
It looks okay. So I looked it up, and
movies
it's
within-
literally, I think if the timelines are supposed to be believed, it's like 4 years later.
Oh well, then I'll.
So during this rant, I got curious and I looked into this a little bit more about Madripoor and
Censor me.
Shang-Chi. Just looping this conversation back to the MCU, I'm really excited now because not only is Shang-Chi and Madripoor directly related, There's a martial arts like underground tournament that's held in Madripoor. And not only Shang-Chi, one of like the top contenders that usually partakes at this thing, Wolverine is also one, as is, what was the other one? Elektra, Iron Fist. There's like a lot of characters that could totally be about to be brought up in the MCU. So
I
that's
hope
really
they
cool.
recast the Iron Fist.
Well, I'm going to chalk that up to, because I had no knowledge of any of that. I'm going to chalk that up to I called that shit.
Are
But
we just? Is this just an uncensored podcast now?
no, I'm just going to censor all of it. Anyway, I'm gonna use that to step into our next segment of Monster Mash, and I'm just gonna kick it off with Godzilla real quick, and
Okay.
say I
Cody
called
was
that
right.
too.
Cody was right. Okay, it was Cowboys versus Aliens all over again.
Nobody knows what that means, but yes.
He said it was going to be Mecha Godzilla. And within the first 15 minutes of the movie,
Oh, and it wasn't not even that. Everyone was like, oh, I don't know who's gonna win. It's gonna be Kong versus Godzilla. Who's gonna win? I was like,
well, first
neither
of all
of
that
them.
all that marketing was BS.
Yeah.
Every time I looked at it, I was like, there's not gonna be a winner.
No.
They're gonna team up.
They're gonna team up. They're gonna fight Mecha Godzilla.
This is first Avengers movies all over
Yep.
again.
Yep. Knew it. Called it.
Speaking of Avengers movies, and I again, I will chime in here, and I will totally admit that Cody's totally right. In fact, when we was watching it with Ashley, and that eye popped up on the screen, I was like, "Oh crap, he's not gonna let this go." Anyway,
Oh, I'm done.
I saw it
I'm done. That's the last time I'm gonna bring it up. That I was
Cody
right.
definitely called it. And speaking of, we were in a movie theater once, and there was that movie called Cowboys and Aliens that came up, and we didn't know what it was, and the trailer was playing, and there was cowboys and there was aliens on screen, and Cody was like, "What is this, Cowboys versus aliens?" And then literally 30 seconds later, I was like, "Cowboys versus aliens," and then he got up and left the theater.
So I would just want to point out, since we're kind of dabbling into Godzilla versus Kong here, I didn't catch on to this until about a good little way through the film. Full spoilers, by the way, in case you haven't.
It's too late. I spoiled the entire plot like 3 minutes ago. So
You didn't even give a disclaimer.
I gave a disclaimer at the top of the episode.
You barely even said, "Let's talk about Godzilla versus Kong." You were like, "I was right."
I was.
Anyway, I
point.
didn't catch on to the like almost like point for point parallels between the fight and the build up between Kong going to the Hollow Earth to get the axe to come back and fight Godzilla, and that exact same freaking concept pulled straight out of the MCU from when he went to go get the axe.
Infinity War, 100%.
It was the exact same thing.
Like Cody might have called the Mecha Godzilla thing, but I definitely was like, they're gonna team up. Like this. Anybody that thought there was gonna be a clear winner?
No, that was what I said. I was like, Mecha Godzilla's gonna show up. They're gonna fight a little bit, and then Mecha Godzilla's gonna show up, and they're gonna be like, all right, we're best friends now, and we got to take this thing out. And that's exactly what.
I don't know if they're BFFs. They're more like frenemies.
Nah, man, they had that bro moment at the end. They looked at each other, smiled and nodded, and then went on their separate ways.
Yeah, well,
they did everything but fist bump because Godzilla's got tiny dino arms.
True. Well, technically there was almost kind of a winner because Kong was kind of dead.
I mean, he kind of died.
He kind of died. Like Godzilla kind of won. Like if we're being real here, like let's be real, Godzilla kind of won.
He kind of won.
And then got his ass kicked by Mecha Godzilla, which kind of makes Kong seem like a bitch.
Yeah. Well, whatever. Point stands. Anyway, I don't know about you. The whole movie felt like a Kong movie.
Yes.
And Godzilla was just there.
In there.
And Mecha Godzilla was a plot point that almost served zero purpose. And none of the human actors meant anything to the story.
Nope. I have no idea why Millie Bobby Brown was even in the movie.
It's because she was in the last one. She was in the King of the Monsters.
Okay. But she served no point.
No. Zero.
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 And then I think she screamed like Godzilla at some point.
I will say, one of my favorite gifs of all time, Godzilla gifs of all time, is King Kong shoving a tree down Godzilla's throat. And they 100% had him take the axe and shove it down his throat, and I was laughing so hard.
Um,
I was like,
yeah,
"Hey, you brought it back."
no, I totally agree with what you guys were saying, that this was definitely a Kong movie with some humans, with some Godzilla, and with some Mecha Godzilla. From like the opening scene, Ashley got so excited because she thought that like what's the song from Shrek was about to get playing, where like, you know, like Kong gets up and like scratches
The
his butt.
Smash Mouth song.
Yeah, Smash Mouth.
Somebody once.
Somebody. Yeah.
Yeah,
Um, but it was totally like that scene where like guy gets up, scratches his butt, just kind of walks into the water and starts taking a bath, throws a tree.
yeah.
Yeah, but like Godzilla's in this movie for like maybe 20 minutes.
If that, yeah.
Yeah.
Like it. What
It
did I
has, he has,
compare it to the other day, Christian? It was one of the Avengers movies, or maybe it was Civil War. It was it was Civil War, because Civil War was just an Avengers movie.
yeah, it was Avengers 2.5.
You know,
Yeah.
it didn't feel like a Captain America movie at all,
It was Avengers 2.5.
even though it was called Captain America Civil War. Um, this should have just been called Kong,
Yeah.
and then
And
and then in Tiny, just and Godzilla.
it should just be called Best Titan Friends.
Yeah. And also Godzilla is here.
And also, yeah. Kong versus Mecha Godzilla,
And Godzilla's also here.
he's in there.
Kind of.
Come see the movie.
He-
Godzilla's in it.
He's there to charge up Kong's axe. That's literally it.
That's it. And almost kill him.
Yeah.
And to provide the path back to the battle. That's it.
So
Wow,
when he
like it-
was
Yeah.
Sorry.
He was able to punch a hole through like reality and the hollow earth, just straight down. No issue.
That's it.
So when Thor went to get his, you know, Stormbreaker axe, you know, from the mighty forge of blah blah blah,
Of Peter
And they were
Dinklage.
like- he's about to die, and they're like, he needs the axe, and so the axe came back into his hands, and then he all of a sudden just surged back up.
Yeah.
I was like, I swear to God, if they do that here, where they're like, they need to jumpstart his heart, and I was like, if you put that radioactive axe in his hand, and then he just is like, I'm good. Like, you guys literally just stole the entire
No.
plot.
Tarzan put the spaceship on his chest and shocked him back to life.
I
It was
didn't
fine.
understand that logic at all.
I feel like what they did was a giant defibrillator.
Yeah, essentially that's what they're going for.
So whatever.
It was a big, like it said that thing could charge Vegas for a week, and then they blew it up on him, which was a giant defibrillator.
Yeah.
The good thing that like his heart just restarted, because usually with the defibrillator you have to do it 1 or 2 times.
Yeah.
before
All right. Again,
power.
I didn't put too much. It's a Godzilla movie. It's a Kong movie.
Is it?
It's-
And
What's
in all right, in Fast 8, or is it 7? I think it's 7. Dom dies at the end, and like they're giving him CPR, and they're like, "Just stop! It's not worth it. He's gone." And then Letty's just like, "I remember everything. I love you." And then he just wakes up, and he's like, "It's about time." And you're like, "Oh, okay, sure."
I didn't
Sure.
remember that Don died.
Yeah. Nope.
I don't remember.
It just took some kind words to wake him up. No need for CPR.
Or after him and Jason Statham had that like crazy fight.
After.
Okay.
Yeah, shortly after, because they have that like sword fight with wrenches and
Yeah.
pieces of metal on the
Yeah.
parking deck.
Yeah.
Anywho,
Love those movies. I highly recommend a watch through.
That's the one where like he's like, I bet you thought this was gonna be a street fight, and he has
And then, yeah, he
throws it down
shoots
like,
the shotgun. He's like, "You're right."
like
So dumb. Love it. All right, so Christian, let's get back on topic. I don't know why you keep taking us off topic, man. It's just,
oh yeah,
it's so
my
unprofessional.
fault.
Anyway,
Week after week, it's all me.
if you could give us some Monster Hunter first impression reviews of Monster Hunter Rise, that'd be pretty great.
Yeah. So Monster Hunter Rise came out about over a week ago now. Backstory on just my personal experience with the franchise. I always knew it was around. I always thought it looked cool. It was one of those franchises where like it was too far along, and I was just like, it's too gone to this point. Like, I'm not gonna know what the heck's going on. until Monster Hunter World came out. And then we all kind of jumped in and played there. And then I got really hooked for a while and then kind of fell off of it. And so when I heard this game was coming out, I really wanted to give it a go, especially when they said that not only would you get a cat, but you also get a dog. You don't even have to choose, you get both. So that was kind of a selling point for me. So I did jot down a few notes to kind of gloss over some of the big parts.
Before you know it, they're like, you can get a cat, a dog, or a hamster, and here are all these balls that you can catch all these monsters with after you battle them. And then there's all these gym trainers you can go to, and you can fight and train against them, and they'll give you badges. And then you can go on, and you can fight these elite four people to determine who is the ultimate best.
What a twist that would be if Monster Hunter just bled magically into Pokemon.
They're gonna call it Pocket Monster Hunter.
What a twist!
That's how Pokemon originated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And all the Pokemon went from massive snarling monsters down to little bitch things,
Charizard is just Rathalos.
Yeah.
Cartoonified. Anyway, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt your, Christian.
That's okay. I'm used to it at this point.
I said this is going to be a wild episode. Sorry.
It's okay. No, you're good. So yeah, first no is that with most Monster Hunters, from what I've heard and from what I've played, about 5 to 10 hours in, there is a difficulty spike, but I feel like it's enough of the way in to make it welcome for newcomers. I was kind of the same way in Monster Hunter World, where it kind of started off and was like, hey, go kill this thing. It takes 2 hits and it just dies. And then you got to go kill this big dragon thing, and you're like, oh, I can't do that.
Yeah, it's here, take down these swarms of little things, and it's okay, well, here's a little bigger thing you can tail, and now kill a dragon.
Yeah, so it definitely the gameplay often attempts to copy World success. It's not necessarily a bad thing. World did extremely well, as I'm sure everyone's aware. And I think that everyone kind of thought that whatever Monster Hunter game came out next would have just been a direct sequel to it. So it was kind of surprising when Capcom released Monster Hunter Rise and Monster Hunter Stories 2. And then neither one of those, I don't think, are even coming to PlayStation or Xbox, which I also found really interesting. But I will say that the graphics and the overall look and feel of the game I was blown away by it, because I was not expecting it to look nearly as good on a 720p handheld as it did. So it looked really good. So as you go through, battles continue to get more exhilarating. Of course, as always, you can enhance your gear customization to your heart's content. There is the added bonus, as with most Monster Hunter games, where you can coordinate hunts with friends and link up online. Even with the introduction of new mechanics that help amplify these features, Monster Hunter Rise struggles to establish kind of its own creative identity on its own. So I feel like what they kind of did was they took Monster Hunter World and what fans loved about it a lot, tweaked it to where it was going to be able to run efficiently on the handheld, and then added a couple new features to it. And I think that's kind of Monster Hunter Rise. So I think right now Monster Hunter Rise is getting amazing 10 out of 10 reviews. I will say that I think everyone writing those reviews are hardcore Monster Hunter fans. So I don't know what you expect. Of course, the Monster Hunter fans are going to love it to death. I don't know if I will play the game to its completion. I don't think it's going to be my thing. Back when World came out, I think World came out at the beginning of the year, in January, February launch window.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Much else to play at the time. So I was kind of yeah, this is fine. I'm content. If there was anything else to play other than Monster Hunter that I'm interested in, I do not think it would be a go-to for me. Something to note that's interesting about the game is that apparently it kind of launched intentionally unfinished. So if you do finish the game, which I think it's about a 50 to 60 hour long playthrough, well, by the time you get to the end game content, it's really non-existent. They're going to come out with a patch. Capcom's going to come up with a patch at some point over the next few weeks or longer that's going to actually add in the end game content, which, thinking that back now to World, I think is fairly similar, because I think when you beat World, there wasn't a whole lot to do rather than farm some of the monsters you had already killed for gear.
I think that's all Monster Hunters, though. I think it's once you do it, it just unlocks the extra hard versions or whatever, so you can get the really cool armor. And then like down the road, I think they did like the wasn't it like a big golden dragon,
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that. So
Yeah, I could not remember any of their names, but yeah, that sounds right. But
I
yeah, so in Monster Hunter Rise, you spend a lot of your downtime at the main hub, kind of like in World. Like I said, I don't really have another form of comparison since World was my first entry into the Monster Hunter universe. But you spend a lot of your time at the main hub, upgrading or forging better equipment, nabbing a bunch of pending quests from NPCs, and kind of preparing for the next hunt. So the fundamentals of the fantasy action series, but that I guess have been known in the past. But yeah, so during the opening hours, the people of what's called Kamura Village, this is like the hub where you spend most of your time, are busy preparing for something they refer to as the Calamity. Again, I have only gotten about 5, 6, 7 hours into it, so I don't really know too much about the storyline as a whole. But apparently,
It's
it's
a
an
little funny.
armored.
I don't mean to interrupt you, but it's kind of funny because they're preparing for something called the Calamity, and I know for a fact that Monster Hunter World and Final Fantasy 14 had a crossover event, and the Calamity is a major plot point in Final Fantasy 14.
Yeah, I'm sure that it's just one calamity after another. So wait, so in that crossover, did they try to like?
The only thing that was really crossover is you could fight a Rathalos in Final Fantasy 14. You could fight
Behemoth,
Okay,
yeah.
so it was like a
Behemoth.
fan service crossover. It wasn't
Yeah, it
like
wasn't like
suggesting that it takes
canonical.
place in the
No,
same
yeah,
universe.
it was just some weird like a crystal fell through and created some weird rift, and you could fight
I thought it was.
Rathalos and
I thought the parallel was funny because of the crossover event, and all of a sudden we have a
calamities.
Calamity. Yeah. Anyway, go ahead.
You're good. But yeah, so there's this thing called the Calamity, an army of wild monsters bent on laying waste to everything in their path, as the village's, newly registered hunters. So at the beginning, when you start the game, you're like, oh, hey, like, I love how you're officially a hunter, and which I'm sure is pretty much how every single Monster Hunter game started. Like I said, at the beginning of Monster Hunter World, I distinctly remember that being it, because you go out and you kill like your first monster for the first time.
Yeah, I don't think any of them are like
They're
uh,
not like sequels
I
or
don't
anything,
think
are they?
they're ever. I don't. Yeah, I don't think any of them are necessarily connected. If they are, it's just like they occupy the same universe, but I don't think they're like story sequels to each other. But I could be wrong. World was my first as well.
Mm-hmm.
Same. Well, World was the first one that wasn't on a Nintendo only.
Right. And it was
World was the
such a
first
success
one.
that I'm really surprised that they did not at least make it an option to where this was both, because I don't think World released on the Switch
It didn't. I don't think
or on
it
any
was
Nintendo
just. It
platform.
was just PC and
Now, maybe
console.
Wild
PlayStation.
Rise is only on the Switch because Monster Hunter World was like exclusive to Nintendo for a long time, and World was the first one that was on something besides the Nintendo console. Because
Yeah.
all the other Monster Hunters have usually either been on like the DS or like the Wii or Wii U.
Oh. Yeah, I'm just surprised that, I mean, like, I definitely, it was made sense that it made its way back again onto a Nintendo console, but I'm just surprised that they didn't additionally also release it on the PlayStation and Xbox since
Well, you
World.
said it's a lot like Monster Hunter World, so this could be their answer to why people. I don't know who people. I don't know anybody that's just loyal to just the Switch, but I'm sure they're out there
Yeah.
Yeah.
being like, "Here you go. Here's your Monster Hunter game for just the Nintendo console."
And the people that I know and have talked to that are playing it, that are Monster Hunter fans, have all kind of unanimously on their own said that it's overall better than World, but the maps aren't as good. But
Hmm.
like they took everything. I didn't mean to hit my mic there. They took everything good from World and brought it over, and then fixed the things that people hated about World. So it's essentially just like the perfect Monster Hunter world with not as good maps.
Hmm. I think I'd agree with that from what I've played so far.
Yeah. So
Um, there's a additional feature that's kind of cool. Just a fun little thing once you like make your way back to camp each time, called the Buddy Plaza. It's like a base of operations for your palicos, just cats, and the palamutes are your dogs. So it's like a place that you can kind of send them out on like little missions, and then like you can come I guess as you stop playing the game for the day, you can send them out on a mission. And when you come back the next day, they might have like rewards for you.
Yeah.
So I think kind of like a lot of other games have incorporated similar mechanics. Like I know in Assassin's Creed Valhalla, you could send out like random troops to get hired off by other teams, and then like they would give you like in-game currency or something as a reward.
Yeah. Yeah, you had like your lieutenant or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
The real question here, the real question is, do they play the music from The Dark Knight Rises in it?
They do not.
Before we call it for the episode, um, I think World officially now was all of our first Monster Hunter game, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about the series? Like, do you think it has room to grow? Do you think they'll keep going, or?
So, as we've talked about Pokemon back on the 25th anniversary episode, I feel like this is one of those series that if you've played one, you've played them all. They're going to have slight enhancements. You know, of course, like the port over to PlayStation, Xbox, and PC had enhanced graphics. But the game at its core is still Monster Hunter. I'm sure the game now is the same mechanics as they were years ago, just with a little bit of additions, a few new characters, maybe another pet, something like that. But I don't think you know what the game, if you've played one game, you're going to know what the concept is, and you're either going to love it or you're going to be like, it's not for me. Me personally, when World was out, like I said before, there wasn't a lot of else to play at the moment. So I was able to kind of really take a deep dive into the game and get really hooked. This, on the other hand, like there's so much else right around the corner that, and plus I just struggle to like maintain wanting to play my Switch. I think, and if any game comes out, I think on both the PlayStation 5 and the Switch, I'd much rather play my PlayStation anyway. So me personally, like I just don't think it's a series that I'll long term be like a avid fan or hardcore member of, unfortunately. But
No, I think I'm the same way. Like it, I appreciated World for what it was. Like I really enjoyed it. I didn't play the DLC.
I didn't either. Iceborne,
Um, yeah, Iceborne.
yeah.
Like it was fun, but it just after a point, it's just repetitive for the sake of repetitiveness, and not for me personally.
Yeah, there's because essentially, like, you know, when you go, I don't know, take games as a service, games like Avengers or Destiny or something like that, you know, you'll go out, you know, in a group, you'll go fight your way through a level or, you know, a biome, you know, area, whatever, and then you'll hit like the final boss. And then like that's it. And then you come back to camp and then you recycle through it. But you come across like enough different stuff along the way. And so I think I'm definitely more in that camp of preference. Whereas Monster Hunter, you come back to camp, you get up some buffs by eating some food, you make sure you know you have the right like setup, you know, the right weapons equipped. You get buffs from, you know, your cat or your dog or whatever. And then you head back out into the world, but you literally just go out, you kill that monster, and then you come right back. Like that is the mission, is you just hunting that monster and then coming right back. So it's just a little too short of a turnaround, I think, for my personal preference, that there's not really enough chance to have like the game actually have like a full-on plot.
So, do you think if they made like an open world Monster Hunter game, that you'd be more receptive to it?
Yeah, so I mean, like I feel like if they took a bit of like Breath of the Wild and kind of dabble that in with Monster Hunter, or at least just more of a like story driven element. Like I know there is story going on in the background of these games, but like it's definitely not at the forefront. I mean, the central gist of it is that, you know, you go kill this monster, okay, go back to camp. Go kill this monster, go back to camp. So if there was just a little bit too more to that rotation, I think it would definitely hook me in a little bit more.
What about you, Tim?
I mean, I never really liked Monster Hunter. Like you were saying, it's just not kind of for me. Um, it's not what I thought it was. I had kind of hoped it was just kind of like, you know, I don't even know what I wanted it to be, but it wasn't that. It was more like, you know, like you said, like you just go kill something, and you go back to base camp, and
Yeah.
that's kind of it. and then, well, that's fine. It's just like one of those things. Like one of the things Rose said to me about Monster Hunter was that like you gotta kill the thing to get the gear to just go kill another thing to get the gear, and while that's fine in some cases, it can get really repetitive, like you were saying, and then you just like it's kind of like 14 in that regard, where it's like you get the better gear to do the better thing to get the better gear to do the better thing, and then once you finally realize that, it's kind of hard to like unrealize that.
Yeah.
But unlike 14, unlike 14, yeah, I don't ever go back to Monster Hunter.
There's also more to do in 14,
Yeah.
to occupy your brain a little bit.
Yeah.
Um, I think I'm the only one that's seen the movie, right?
I have not seen the movie.
Yeah.
It's worth a watch, but it's not going to win any Oscars. They left it on a cliffhanger, like they were going to make another. I don't know if they will.
What, they didn't have high expectations for it, so
No, don't. Mm-mm. It's it's not good. It's not like Dragon Ball Evolution bad. It's more like the latter Transformers bad.
okay.
Like it's
It's worth a
cheesy,
view.
like I think it's better than the last few Resident Evil movies.
You said it's worth a view.
It's worth a view. Like
Okay.
I enjoyed it. There's just like there's a portion of the movie that they fixate on something a little too long. Um,
So what's like I don't even think I know like the general plot point of
so
that
the
movie.
plot point is that Mila Jovovich is like a army captain with the UN, and her squad are out looking for another squad that disappeared, and they're driving through the desert, and then this massive like lightning storm happens. These glyphs start lighting up, and then they get thrown into the Monster Hunter world, and almost immediately everyone but her dies by Diablos. Like it pops up out of the ground and pretty much just murders everyone. And then it's like her and three other people, and they make it to these caves, and then these giant spider things show up, and they're awful, and I hate everything about them. They kill everybody else, and then the rest of the movie is just her and this uh, Asian dude character from Monster Hunter that doesn't speak any English and speaks like whatever language they speak in Monster Hunter. And it's just them not talking to each other, trying to figure out how to kill Diablos for a very long time, and then they meet up with the rest of his crew to try and find a way for her to find a way to get home, but for them to close off the doorway that allows her to get there.
It sounds very, very much similar to the original Predator movie.
Kinda, yeah. Um, and like I said, it wasn't horrible. The monsters, the CGI is really, really good. They all looked like they did really, really well on them. The acting was just bad. The writing was kind of poor. And it's very anticlimactic at the end, and they leave it off on like a cliffhanger. And I mean, there's some funny, cheesy moments, like when there's a palico in the movie cooking, and there's like it does like a whole like cooking thing where he's like chopping the meat, and then like he puts the little garnish on it. So like it's not horrible. For whatever reason, Ron Perlman's in it, and he didn't need to be. But yeah, I don't know. I'd watch it, but I don't know if they could pull off another movie. I think it would work really well as a Netflix show or an HBO show.
Yeah. The right funding and manpower is put behind it, I'm sure it would actually be a lot better.
Yeah.
Similar to like if Game of Thrones had ever been made into like a movie, I feel like it would have been butchered.
Oh, it would have been awful.
Oh, yeah.
Would have been absolutely awful.
All right. Well, yeah. So as far as on my personal opinion, with Monster Hunter Rise, from what I've played, I think overall, I think it's pretty beloved right now. Like I said, I mean, if you're a Monster Hunter fan, you're gonna love it. I
Sure.
can't really give it too much more flack on the whole, if you played one, you've played it all, because Pokemon is the exact same way, and I'm still playing it 20 some years later.
I'm playing Soul
Uh,
Silver right now.
Yeah, so if you're a Monster Hunter fan, you've been a part of the franchise, you're gonna love it. Just pick it up. It'll be great. It'll be the best thing for you, just not for me personally. I think, like you said before, right now it's sitting at like an 88 on Metacritic. If you like the franchise, that's probably the accurate score for you. On a personal level, I think I'd give it like a 7 out of 10.
Mm,
But
yeah, I think it's one of those series like if you're new, if you're new to gaming, or maybe you're just new to like console gaming and you're more used to like strategy PC games, or maybe uh, simulation games, you might enjoy Monster Hunter if you've never played one. But if you've never been into the series, I don't know. I feel like you're flipping a coin. Maybe try the demo. I think you can still download the demo.
yeah, there you go. What about you on the movie, since you're the only one that's seen the movie? What would you give it out of 10?
Um, a 5.
Seems respectable.
Like I don't know, maybe a 4 if I'm being like really harsh and honest. Like yeah, yeah, about a
I
4.
think that's pretty accurate, because I mean, we all loved Godzilla versus Kong. I got another monster movie, but it's not going to win any awards.
No.
I'd give. I'm gonna be honest. I would have. That's actually really interesting now that I think about it. I
Tim,
think
what would
I
you
think I
give?
enjoyed Monster Hunter more than Godzilla vs Kong.
Really?
Yeah.
Really? Huh.
I think honestly, yeah, I'd give Godzilla vs Kong a 4 and Monster Hunter a 5. That's just my
Tim, what would
opinion.
you give Godzilla versus Kong?
It was shorter than I thought, so that was good.
Yeah.
I always take that in consideration when I'm grading a movie.
Just if it goes too long or
Yeah,
longer
because
than
there's
you
some
think.
movies
If
that
the
just
story's not good and it goes too long, like the
like
World of
Pirates of the
Warcraft,
Caribbean.
Pirates of the Caribbean, or World of Warcraft, that movie felt like 3 hours.
I fell asleep in the World of Warcraft.
Yeah.
So I give Godzilla like a 6. It was not. I mean, it was exactly what you think it's going to be if you watch the
Yeah.
trailer.
Yeah.
Like if you watch the trailer and then like we're like had any kind of clue about how movies are made in this kind of genre, you will know pretty
Yeah.
much all the major beats of the story.
It wasn't hard to predict. Like
So like because of that, like it wasn't like
it's not.
mind blowing, but it wasn't terrible either. I knew what I was walking into. I got what I expected, and I was just kind of like, okay,
Yeah. It's not going to win any Oscars.
win a whole bunch of money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Unless you guys have any final thoughts, I think that's where we're going to end it.
Yeah.
My final thought is watch and or listen to Critical Role.
Pay attention, Christian. All right.
It's on the list.
Thank you for listening, guys, and sticking with us through all that nonsense.
Yeah, sorry. I mean, I was supposed to do this week's episode and then the wedding, and I've been kind of out there. Anyway,
we were all over the place, and if you stuck with us and you're one of the 5 people that follow us, hey, thanks.
there's a lot of people that follow us, though.
No, I know. I'm just kidding.
Shout out to the people that follow us, non-ironically.
Yes, exactly. If you're one of those people, please make sure you share the podcast. Make sure you give it a like on YouTube. Subscribe to our channel. Subscribe, to Apple Podcast and Spotify. Leave a comment below. Let us know what you think. If you'd like to reach out to us, you can find us on Facebook and Twitter at SKO Entertainers, or you can visit our website, skoentertainment.net, for more information. We are constantly updating that website, so there's always something new there, so check it out. Also, we've been a little behind on some of our gaming content on the YouTube because of life. So bear with
We're
us.
still kind of doing it though.
But we're still doing it. There should be some future Resident Evil content, some other games coming in the pipeline. So keep an eye open for that. And finally, guys, if you enjoyed this, don't forget to join us next week because even on the best of days, we all need some kind of entertainment.
Bye.